All right, guys. So we're here in the recorded section. So I want to welcome everybody to economics, microeconomics, principles of microeconomics. For this semester, we are meeting on Thursdays from 5:30 onwards. So you'd notice I say onwards because sometimes we would probably go a little later if necessary. The CRN for this course is 25702. Um, I believe most people have made it into the e-classroom. If you haven't, try and navigate there. And I believe also everybody has been able to join the WhatsApp chat group. The links for those are on the e-classroom, so you need to be able to go there. If you are in the WhatsApp chat group, I also tend to put the link for the meeting there as well. The WhatsApp chat group link is on the e-classroom, so we can get to that as well. Now, we are not necessarily going to be meeting every week. There are some scheduled days and times that we will be meeting um, with some specific dates with mandatory sessions. Primarily, you are kind of working on your own through the course. You will be put into a group for a group-based activity, but you all could rely on each other for assistance. And being on the WhatsApp chat group allows you to communicate with me directly, either within the group chat or directly in a private chat, to deal with any issues that you might have, any problems that you might come across, or any challenges that you might be facing in terms of meeting the deadlines and so on. By now, I think most of you should have downloaded the course outline. Um, let's see, somebody else is coming in. View lobby. All right, so we have Miss Claude. Anuvo, welcome. And we have Jeffrey. Hi, Anuvo. This part of the session is being recorded, but uh,
Uh,
Miss Claude, can you tell
Miss
me
Claude,
if tell me what program you're doing?
Are you in?
I'm hearing you now. Yes.
I'm doing BA and alcohol.
All right. What semester are you in?
There's my second semester.
Second semester. Have you ever done economics before?
So,
No. No. Okay.
Could
I
just
take
shut
it.
up in a class.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. Thanks a lot, Miss Anuva. Miss Sammy, Amelia.
Hi. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, microphone's been open all the time. Yes. Miss Sammy, though, but I want to speak to you, Amelia.
Huh? Yes.
What program are you doing?
BA accountant.
I don't buff your child so much, okay?
No, my little brother. I'm so sorry. I didn't know my mic was on.
Nah, that's okay. How far into the program are you? This your first or second semester?
My first semester.
First, okay, good. All right, so you'll get accustomed. Um, have you ever done econ before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And
No problem.
somebody else came in. Thanks a lot, Mr. Well, I think it's Kalika Jeffrey.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Miss Jeffrey. Can you tell me what program you're doing?
BA Human Resource Management.
Okay, and what semester is this for you?
This is my second semester.
All right. Have you ever done economics before?
I would say I touched on it a bit, but not as a general subject, no.
When you say you touched on it, what does that mean?
Well, I did lessons with CSEC, and at that time I would have touched on economics since the teacher taught both like business and econ in one class.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's some limited exposure. All right. Okay. Good.
yes, that's true. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So thanks a lot for that. All right. So to continue along with what I was saying, as I said, in terms of the e-classroom, try to make sure that you navigate to there because that's where everything is done. All right. So it's kind of critical that you can get to the e-classroom. If you're having problems, getting there, just contact me and let me know, which is what the function of the WhatsApp chat group is. So joining that WhatsApp chat group is going to be critical. So far from the people who are here, is there anybody who has not yet joined the WhatsApp chat group or not yet gone to the e-classroom? All right, seems as if everybody here has been able to do that. Okay, so as I said before, your fastest way.
And haven't I now got into my student email and I now got the Zoom invite, so I'm now going into the WhatsApp group chat.
Okay, fine, great. All right, cool. Oh, we have somebody else coming in. Fernandez. Hi, Fernandez. Makai, Joshua. Hello. Mr. Fernandez. I guess they're unable to. If it's at all possible, Mr. Fernandez, could you put into the chat whether or not you've done econ before, what program you're doing, and what semester this is for you? All right, I'd appreciate that information for my edification. All right, so let's go across to the e-classroom. Let me share my screen, and that way we can have a look at the e-classroom together, so that we can. Oh, come on. Put this down. Crying out loud. All right. Make this a bit bigger so that you guys can see. Let me know if you're having problems seeing MC. Rihanna, you haven't been to my e-classroom yet? How is that possible? All right, so you all won't be able to get to that element that we were looking at. So this is what the course looks like. At least the course page looks like. There's this general letter at the beginning that gives you an overview of what the program is about, what the course is about, what the focus is to do, how it's organized. I've also given some details about how it's evaluated, and some just a general material here to kind of open you up to the system. Secondly, there are student resources. So the first thing I want you to do is to make sure you download all these textbooks. You're going to keep them. So what you could probably do is create a folder where you save all of these econ textbooks, because they'll be useful when you go on to do the macroeconomic course as well. All right. At any point in time, if somebody needs to ask a question, please open your mic, because as you can see on my page, I can't see any sort of comments or anything from the Teams meeting. All right. You all are seeing this, right? It's clear? Somebody just say
Yes,
yes,
sir.
no. Yeah, okay, cool. All right. So these are the textbooks here. There's a reference dictionary and a couple of textbooks here. When you download them, you'd see what they are. Um, reference dictionary, that's useful for in terms of getting some general information. Don't worry too much about the group pair evaluation. We'll discuss that. That is a special requirement if necessary. I've also included the last budget statement that was read in Parliament. Um, because it took place recently, it's some information that will be useful for you all to have, but it's not necessary for this course in itself. You should have downloaded this already, the course outline and course schedule with assignments. Um, we're going to go through this in a lot more detail in a little while. All right. This is the link here to join the e-classroom, and you'd see that I've set it up 5:30 already. So from henceforth, we will be. Wow, who's this? Okay, so I'm seeing a pretty strange Gibson's Fitness Empire.
That's
Is
me.
that
That's for me to see the screen better.
okay? So you're joining with a different profile. Okay, cool, no worries. When you say me, that's Mr. Gibson, right?
Yeah,
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. That's fine. Samuel. Okay. Cool. Where's your fitness at Empire, sir?
it's online based.
What? Why you do fitness online? All right. That's something that you explain to us. All right. So yeah. So this is the class link. So henceforth, what we're going to be doing is when I call a session with you guys, it'll start from 5:30 for especially designed for those folks who are working, who need a little more time to get home and get set and whatnot. But you're free to join the class on your phone while you're driving. This is the link to the WhatsApp chat group. Please join the WhatsApp chat group. It really improves our ability to communicate during the semester. It makes it a lot easier for me to get messages to you all quickly, especially if the system goes down. And we've had that happen in the past where Costat's entire system crashes and I'm able to still communicate with you all and let you all know what's happening. All right. So it's either this link or this link here. You utilize either one, you should be able to join. There are some videos here that I've put up with citation, and you'd understand when we start to look at the um, when you start to look at the nature of the assignments that you're doing, the importance of citation. Welcome back, Mr. Fernandez. Um, is your mic working this time? All right, let's leave that alone for now. All right. The critical nature of citation in academic papers is one that you're going to have to be paying a lot of attention to because it's one of the areas that I've found historically that students have a lot of trouble with, and it's where you lose the most amount of marks in your assignments. So I don't want you all to do that. So I have some some links here to assist you with how to do citation. And we'll go through it a little bit if you want. For those of you who have done FYC 100 and LIBS 130, you would have come across this need for citation across the board. So these tools will kind of help you along with that. All right, so you'd see there are a couple of videos here on citation referencing systems. APA is the format that we like to use in our department, so it's one of the reasons why we focus on that. Okay. All right, class recording. So this session that we're doing today, the recording will be posited on the page at this point. All right. So you're not seeing anything here now because today is our first session. So therefore, if we record subsequent sessions from here, which we don't necessarily do, unless it's something pretty critical that we're going to be doing. All right. That then brings us into our assignment blocks. So the first assignment is called a forum discussion, and I'll go through the details of that. You'd see there's a due date for this discussion forum already, and this is the stimulus material that I've actually put onto the page itself. These are the questions that you need to respond to. So in essence, well, just let's explain this. Um, you're going to look at these questions here, and you're going to write responses to them. You're going to set it up like a regular um, academic paper with a title page, with page numbers, with your responses, with citation, which is two parts in nature. There's what is called in-text citation and a reference list that goes to the end. So I'm looking at your ability to utilize these questions and um, put your response in a format that meets the academic rigors of the program. You are not going to upload this piece of the assignment to the to what we call the Turnitin portal, and I'll explain that a little further when we get to it, because these questions are taken from the first assignment that makes up assignment one. So I don't want you putting it there, or else it's going to create some problems for citation checking. All right, similarity ratings, and I'll explain that in a little more detail when we look at that portal in a little bit. Now, when you are uploading your forum discussion, you That's just one part of it. After you've uploaded your own responses to the questions, you are then supposed to, not supposed to, you are required to critique one of your colleagues' um, posts into to the system. Now, the way that you're doing this is you go here, you click on the link. It's going to take you to the page for you to post your response. Now, let's see. Yesterday we had a very interesting thing happen, right? So you see there are no discussions here yet. So you click on the add discussion topic, and then I want you to go down further and click on the advance. And what you will be able to do, you'll see the page will widen and open. It allows you to upload a file. So the preferential way to do this is to do the question or respond to the question and save it as a file and then upload it into the forum discussion. When you click on poster forum, it'll go there. You'll get a period of time to edit it if anything's wrong, and then eventually becomes your full post. When you post to the forum, it will post as a file. So anybody who wants to critique your work needs to download your file, read your assignment, and then upload. They can actually just type in their response to it, and that response to your work is, a form of critiquing and objectively critiquing the individual's assignment or their contribution to the topic. All right. So far, so far so good. Everybody understands that.
Yes,
Nope.
sir.
All right. Make a forum
Yes, sir.
post, and I want you all to post once, but critique two of your students, at least two of your students, your fellow students. All right. Um, that way, you kind of cover your bases. Now, to be able to do that, obviously, we need to be paying attention to the time frame. So the due date is the 1st of March, so we need to have some posts in there going along the way, working on things. All right. So we want to be able to go back to class sessions. All right, so we want to be able to do that as we move along. So as I said before, do not upload this to the I expect that there will be citation methodology and techniques being utilized on the assignment, but I don't want you to post it into the forum, sorry, this section here, which is the Turnitin portal. So what is the Turnitin portal? The Turnitin portal is where you need to upload your assignments to check for similarity ratings. And you're going to need a little bit of coaxing. Anybody here has used the similarity or Turnitin portal before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Right. So I think the vast majority of people would not have used it, especially if this is your first or second semester, and if you haven't done courses requiring citation yet. But the vast majority of you, once you did FYEC 100 or LIBS 130 or maybe even Principles of Management, you might have come across courses. Accounting classes tend to be a little different because they're more hands-on in nature. So the Turnitin portal allows you, it's an external tool that will take you to a site that will allow you to, now it takes a little time for it to upload because, as I said, it's external to the Costat cloud. So it'll take you to this piece of software outside there where it's going to allow you to upload your file to check and see if you have how similar your work is to other sources of material on a global scale. All right, don't worry about these things here. This is from my view as the lecturer. I get to see all your assignments coming in, and it's going to give you a report. Now, When we get closer to the time frame for this, it's going to I'm going to go through it with you all a few times, all right? So we'll see how that works out from there. But do not put your responses the to this forum discussion through this, please, because assignment 1 contains the same questions that you're already going to be dealing with the portal. And I'll explain that when we go through the assignments a little more. All right. Now, for every assignment, what we're looking for is a similarity rating of no more than 15%. All right. From an academic standpoint, that 15% similarity rating is critical. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that the work that you're submitting is your work and not somebody else's work that you copied from. Now, there are some technicalities, and as I said, I'm going to have to work with you all to let you all know what's happening. Generally, when we start to do the Turnitin exercises for assignment 1, that's when it begins to show up, about the issues with the the portal and that type of stuff. So we'll have to pay attention to that. You'd also notice that there are different Turnitin portals for the journal assignment and a written project, and a group written project. So that kind of indicates to you what you're doing. Once you've been able to get your similarity rating down to 15%, then you come below here and you submit the assignments into the final draft portals. So these are the ones that I'd like to mark. I don't want to see, the ones where you're turning it in and you're having trouble meeting the similarity rating and you have to go and edit it and put it back up. So you're allowed to do multiple submissions, right? Although the deadline is set at March 29th, I've actually allowed some more leeway beyond March 29th, okay? And we'll discuss that when we look at deadline dates and stuff like that, all right? So once you get your similarity ratings down, then you are expected to put your individual, your final drafts into the portals for final grading. All right. So you have the individual assignment, the journal assignment, the group project, and the group PowerPoint submission has to do with a presentation that you all would have to do as groups in the classroom at some point in time during the semester. All right. So far, so good. Everybody kind of follows what we're talking about here. In terms of what, yeah, in terms of what we've seen so far.
sir.
So after the portals for this, we then actually go into the content. So unit 1 is first there are a couple of videos on that I'd like you to look at. These are the readings that are related to the course, the learning outcomes for this. I have a PowerPoint presentation. There are 2 versions of it. There's one with me narrating some of the content, and this one here without the narration, so that you could go through it at your own speed. PowerPoint presentation. So this one is more like a video clip that you go and you look at. And then at the end of the unit, you have a unit quiz. So the unit quizzes are already open and they will remain open until the end, well, past the end of the semester. You'd see May 17th. Now the way it's done is you have 20 minutes for your quiz. I'm allowing multiple attempts. Now the reason why I'm allowing multiple attempts is to give you the opportunity to try to, after you go through a unit and you go through the material, you do the readings and whatnot, you go and do the quiz, and if you don't get all of the questions correct, you get the opportunity to go back in and try to do it again. But what it means is that you need to probably review the material before you attempt it a second time or a third time. That making sense? The objective here for me is that I don't expect that you're going to get everything right the first time around. So I'm allowing multiple attempts at your quizzes to give you the best opportunity to score the highest possible grade. And that is the one grade that I will take from your quiz. So each quiz is made up of, I'm going to start an attempt here, and you're going to see each quiz is going to be comprising of 10 questions, and each question, there's this timer there that's on it, is going to come up on a single page. So you'd read the question, you'd put in your your choice. You could check it if you want. Um, so that, oh, I didn't even check that, and it's correct. All right, then you move to the next question, and it'll keep on telling you what time. Which of the following is a normative statement? We check that. You realize it's wrong. Problem is you can't change it afterwards. All right. All right. Next page. So that, and you move on from there. So as you do the questions, you're going to realize that they're going to tackle different aspects of the content that you did in the in the in the content. All right, and you have 20 minutes to do these quizzes. It's 10 questions, and of course, it takes the best score out of the 3 attempts that you've done. Economic theory aims to predict human behavior. All right, next we have a common political statement in the country is that we must strengthen social security. This statement is well, just to let you all know, it's a normative statement. Um, which of the following statement is a positive statement to many people that are online should write? So this one here is the next, and then we have a normative statement can be tested to see whether it's true or false, is considered negative, or 3 depends on a person's values. Normative statements is 3, 1 and 2, 1 and 3. Three only. Let's check that. Yes, normative statements are people's opinions. Normative statements. Why is there a smiley face there? Describe how the world is. Describe how the world ought to be. Depends on people's values. Cannot be tested. I would say it's 2 and 3. Check that. Yep. So you're going to get the same questions or similar questions. The statement that increases in tax on gasoline increases the price of gasoline is an example of a positive statement. Check that. Should be going. Now, of course, I know this material, so you could have 2 types of statements. One that describes what is the other. These statements are positive and normative. You might find it's some key concepts that I'm reiterating in the tests to make sure that people, which branch of studies the decisions are right. So that's microeconomics. Check that. And we're good to go. So finish attempt, and you'll get a result of how many questions you got right, how many questions you got wrong. All right. So I did pretty good. I got 9 out of 10, but I could submit all and finish. And that's my score for that. But I get the opportunity to review the questions and see the ones that I did wrong. And that way it gives me a chance to, hone in on the area that's giving me the most amount of problems, so that I can utilize this as a tool to help me go back to the material and review it, so that the next time I attempt the test, I can, improve my responses in the future. That makes sense, guys?
No.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, sir.
Okay, now let me come out here. All right. Always get caught up with that. All right, so every unit is similarly designed. All right. Unfortunately, you kind of have to jump around the place. I have it more in a linear setup. All right. So unit 2 is key concepts on economic systems. So it starts again with the YouTube links, the readings. This is a PowerPoint presentation, then a quiz. So you see the same format, same closing dates, consumer behavior. There's a PowerPoint presentation this time because, and this is a recording I did going through the same PowerPoint or similar PowerPoint that might help This is an old video actually. This was from back in the days when we first went into the pandemic, and you'd see there some stuff there. These are the readings related to it, and there are a lot of little videos for you to look at from these online providers, and going through the material. And then there's a quiz again. Then we have Unit 3, demand and supply. Uh, you kind of see it out of sync here. You see me do Unit 5 and then go back to Unit 3. All right. That's because the order for me is better when we do Unit 5 before we do Unit 3 and 4. Demand and supply, Unit 3. Again, PowerPoint presentation, me doing some explanations here. Readings, other videos from other economists online. All right, demand and supply, 1, 2, shifting curves. So they kind of cover the whole area. Then, of course, the unit quiz, elasticity, unit 4. Same setup. PowerPoint presentation, readings, videos, and then the quiz. Theory of the firm 1. So unit 6 is divided into 2 units. Theory of the firm 1, readings, PowerPoint presentation, videos, and there are a good few videos. Then the unit quiz, and then unit 7 is really unit 6 part 2. Theory of the firm part 2. Which is then subdivided into 2 parts, right? So you have theory of the firm part 2. This has to do with market views, market structures, perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic, oligopolies, all that type of stuff. Then theory of the firm part 2 of 2. All right, and this has to do with the graphing, the graphs that are utilized in the theory of the firm. There are not a lot of videos on this, so I did some very specific PowerPoint presentations that you need to go through. So this one's a bit trickier. All right, and there's a quiz on that as well. So far, so good. That's the entire presentation. So nothing here is going to change, with the exception of the recordings from all of the various classes. What will happen would be, as you go through the material, that will kind of determine, where you might need some additional assistance from me or from anybody else,
So,
working together. Yes, question.
as in terms of as the classroom is open, right? Would it be remained open or would you open it up as time progresses?
No, everything remains open for the entire
Okay.
semester. So you are free to move as fast as you want or as slow as you need. All right. Just try and not and leave it for the last minute. All right, because we need to pay attention to the thing. So any question, anything else on the e-classroom that you want to ask about?
Yes, sir. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
The reading. I know you said that there's some PowerPoint presentation. Would, even though if we do the reading and the presentation, every presentation should have the same amount of information as the reading?
It should, but you also want to supplement that with the textbooks. Now, my PowerPoint presentations actually come from the Sloman. So I've based a lot of the information that are on the slides from the Sloman text. But of course I'll add my own discussion. Now you can't cite me as a source. So it's important. That's why you need to also do the readings and stuff. All right. It's not going to be fair for you to cite me as a source. Yes, Samuel. See your hand up.
I was about to ask a question about the unit, but I end up figuring it out here.
Okay. Do you want to ask it anyway? Because it might be something that other people might.
So it was about how it wasn't in order, but then I saw how it put out on my screen on the class, and so it was just more about the website itself.
Okay. I mean, in terms of the order that I put things. All right.
Yeah.
So the order is more of a preference for me because I see it as being. Oh wait, Sydney's here now. All right. That's why. Okay. Sydney Batiste, welcome. Let's see if other people have come in while I have been speaking. Yana George is here. because of the way. All right. Anybody uh, who's here, but you're seeing yourself as absent, kind of let. I don't know if this is large enough for you all to see. So far, I have Amar Singh absent, Badal absent, Hussein absent. All right, those are the three I have absent, but I have 30 people in the class, which means there should be 29 people in class on my register. So I'm either missing people or no. I see Mr. Fernandez is here twice, so that brings us from 27 to 28. And anybody else here more than once, Faye? Fernandez. Sydney. Okay, we probably lost some people along the way. All right. So if you know you're here, just say you're here, because I don't want to have you absent and you actually here in class. 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, wait, somebody else left. Could have people losing people along the way. All right, so mystery sorted. All right. Any other questions about what you're seeing on the e-classroom? The e-classroom, everything is live on the e-classroom now. You're free to work through the course, the content as fast or as slow as you need to. All right. Um, the assignments are detailed in the course outline, which is where we want to go to now. So let's get cracking with this, and then we can. We still have some more work to do. We have to do some groupings and stuff like that. So this is the basic information for the. All right, somebody's trying to come back in. All right, Lily. All right, Lily, welcome back. Um, Now feel free to interrupt me and ask questions if you're finding things here, right? That you need to ask about. Okay, so this just kind of outlines everything in a lot more detail. So, for example, with the quizzes, not all the quizzes will count towards your, or I should say, the best 7 out of the 8 quizzes will be utilized to generate your final grade. All right. Um, you have that online discussion forum that is weighted at 5% of your final grade. The research paper, the first individual research paper, is 15%. And the reason for that is because we've split some of the content into the forum discussion from the research paper. Um, the article journal, I'll get to that as 20%. The group research paper, the written part, is weighted at 20%, the presentation at 10%. So those are all of the assessments that are required for the class. All right, these are my contact information here. Um, and as I said before, I'll be able to reach out to you all. You can reach out to me, and I will try to, kind of get in contact with you as fast as I can. I do have some classes on Saturdays, so Saturdays might be a little more hectic. Give me my Sundays, please, if you can. But I know as we start to approach the end of the semester, people start to get a little panicked. So the course overview, course description, you all could go through all of this. This is a visual representation of the the way the course is designed and what makes up the studies that we're going to be dealing with. Aims, goals, learning outcomes. So this is the required format that we need to use for our course outlines. You could go through it and see what you can gather from it in more details. What areas that makes the best sense for students is actually this area here, the course calendar, because it outlines what we're doing, when we're doing what, when the deadlines are for whatever is going on. So unit 1 or week 1, we're doing introductions. That's what's going on now. We have an online session ongoing now. I don't anticipate that I'll be meeting with you guys again until possibly, I'm looking at here, the 19th of February, which is right after Carnival. All right, that'll be the Thursday after Carnival. However, because it has no session listed here, doesn't mean we can't call a short session, or people can't reach out and contact me, and I can speak to yours. Because so there are a couple of people who are absent today. Maybe I could meet with some of them um, outside of the time frames for the people who didn't make it today. To catch them up on what they've missed for the semester so far. All right, because I know there's some degree of anxiety here. So the idea is that I've laid out for you where you should be at any point in time for the semester. So by February 5th, you should be tackling Unit 1. All right. I don't plan to interrupt. Have you come out for every week to a class. So for example, the same videos that are on the e-classroom, these are the links for the videos here that you can go to. All right. So you could use this, either this or the e-classroom, so you have more than one place to get to them. I've added some new ones, but these are the critical ones that you could utilize. So the 12th of February, we have Unit 2. So I'm anticipating that in a week's time, you should be tackling most units. Some units are a little more tricky, but we'll see how it works out. So for example, Unit 5, I think you should be utilizing 2 weeks to get that sorted out. Now, in the interim, however, there is the whole issue of carnival and holidays interrupting things. So again, you all have to deal with the interruptions, but this course calendar is telling you where you ought to be at any point in time for the semester. The due dates for assignments is also added into the calendars so that you would see on this form when your assignments are due. All right, and there's the detailed information is also listed lower down in the appendices. All right, so we have March 1st, the forum discussion, that's the deadline for that. That should then take you into week 6, which takes you to Unit 3, demand and supply. Um, week 7, Unit elasticity. All right, possibly can have a session on the 12th. Again, it's not carved in stone. I will message you guys, find out if you all want a session or if you want me just to leave you all alone to work on your material. All right. But we could do short check-in sessions. It doesn't have to be full 3 hours. It could be, we meet for about a half an hour. People discuss whatever issues they have. I go through the material with them or just check in with you along the way. Weeks 8 and 9, I expect you should be taking 2 weeks to be dealing with Theory of the Firm 1. Want to do a nice little check-in on the 26th of March with you guys there. The individual assignment is going to be due on the end of March, 29th of March. So that's one of the reasons why on the 26th of March, I'll probably want to do a check-in with you all to see how you all are preparing for the following week for the submission of this assignment. All right. Just tackle or head off any sort of issues that people might be having. Then weeks 10 and 11, Theory of the Firm 2. This is the beginning of April, so we're approaching the end of the semester. You'd notice that there's a Unit 8, Distribution of Income. This is actually tackled in the first assignment. So we refer to this as a self-directed unit within the ambit of the first assignment. All right, so that's weeks 10 and 11. Week 12 will be a major review session looking at your preparedness for your group presentation, which is the following week. That's already carded for the 23rd of April. All right. That is the last teaching week of the semester. The 23rd of April is the last teaching week. Then you're going to exams. All right. So right after your exams, I'm setting some of the submission deadlines outside of teaching time or the teaching weeks. So right after your exams finish, I've laid the deadline of the 10th of May for the journal and the 17th of May for for all quizzes to close and for your group project to come in by then. But this is a summary of all the assignment dates. All right, now, so what I've done is I've kind of stretched the time for the semester. So I've kind of spread it out a little more than it usually is done, because generally we would ask you to submit everything by the end of the semester. And what I've found is that almost every course does that. So by the end of the semester, everybody's scrambling to finish assignments and quizzes, and they have exams on top of things. So I figured, let me ease up some of the pressure on you guys and push some of this stuff outside, because we have this little time frame between the end of the semester and the submission deadline for grades. And I figured, let me use that as a strategy to try and give you all some more time to work on the material and finish your assignments, so that you don't suffer from the burnout that a lot of students tend to suffer from during a semester. All right, so far I've been relatively successful with that. So you'd notice that things are kind of well spread, but then of course coming down to May, we get into that crunch time. Now, although you have a deadline for the 10th of May, it does not mean that you have to wait till the 10th to do the assignment and submit it. You could try and get it done earlier and submit it earlier. The one that probably needs the most amount of coordination is your group projects, because that has to be submitted by the entire group. And I'll go through in terms of what's happening with that in a little detail. We do have the oral presentation, though, which must go off on the 23rd of April. We can't really play around with that date, because I can't call a session for you all after that date. So that is our last.
So your mic is mute.
Excuse me, sir, you're muted.
Oops. How long was that happening? What did you all miss?
Just the last few sentences.
Just the last? Okay, I may have touched something on the keyboard to do a keyboard shortcut. All right, so what I was saying is that I put a lot of the assignments outside of the teaching time to give you all a little more time to work on the material. So I'm hoping that helps you all with your time management for the semester. All right. For some people it works. For others, it can be detrimental. For those of us who suffer from what is the curse? What is the curse that all of us suffer from in schools, and when it comes to this kind of stuff? Well, in life generally. Anybody? It's a P word.
Anxiety.
No, that's
Procrastination.
procrastination. Yes. Which is what the function of the course outline is in terms of the um, the course calendar. The course calendar is designed to ensure that you guys kind of pay attention to these deadlines. But if you procrastinate and you end up doing everything in the last minute, that is going to create a problem where you're going to find yourself panicking down to the end. I don't want that to be one of your issues. Be proactive, get the work done early o'clock. All right? So that you don't end up panicking coming down to the end. All right? But the anxiety comes up because of procrastination. You'd realize that. Okay, any questions about this so far?
No, sir.
Sydney, you just arrived. Are you able to contribute? No? All right, well. All right, so let's look at the details of each assignment. And in the same document, you'd see I have the reading things here. The appendices, which comes up in the following pages. Details gives you the raw details of all of the assignments. Again, and it kind of repeats the same thing over and over again. All right, so it gives you the stimulus material. These are the questions that you're going to be attempting for the forum discussion. And do not, as I said, do not upload your responses to these questions into the Turnitin portal, because if you do that, when you submit for your assignment 1, you're going to get a very high similarity rate, because it's going to look and see, well, wait, this is your This is somebody else's work that was already, and you can actually plagiarize yourself. So that's something that does. So if we look at these questions here, there's a couple of questions on demand, supply, price ceilings, and floors. Using graphical illustrations explain consumer surplus. And two, despite the disadvantages of price ceilings and floors, why may governments still choose to implement these two forms of pricing strategies? Then we have a question on economies of scale. Explain the general shape of the long run cost curve in relation to economies and diseconomies of scale. Now, although it doesn't say it, you can utilize in your discussion a diagram to illustrate it. All right, and then briefly explain this question here. Explain why the demand for concert tickets is considered derived demand or a derived demand. So that's from a different element. Now, the point of this exercise for the forum discussion is for me to get an idea of your capacity to generate academic papers. So that's what I'm looking at primarily. And in an academic paper, I'm going to be looking at the way in which you format your paper, the way in which you utilize paragraphing, your language structure, your ability to cite material appropriately utilizing the APA format. Everything in this class, you're going to have to utilize your APA style of citation. All right. If you don't understand what that is, you need to find out more. There are links in the classroom to assist you with understanding what APA is and what citation is. All right. For those of you who may have some issues with it, that's going to be something that we can work on together. So the forum discussion is for me to get an idea of your capacity to generate academic papers, as well as, because the problem is not going to be finding the answers and answering the questions. The problem is, how do I format my answers to meet the nature of academic papers? And that is the big question that you're going to end up. Of course, if you're having basic problems with just understanding material, then that will show itself as well in your responses. But that's something that we can work on. That's much easier to work on than citation and formatting. All right. So there's a rubric here that is going to lay it out for you in terms of how we're going to be grading you. All right. And now we get to assignment 1. And again, this is shared with the other one. Now, all the specific academic paper requirements are actually identified here. So you need to utilize this paragraph here in formatting your responses for the forum discussion, which I should have probably duplicated that information up above. All right. One of the things I want you to do is also use a naming protocol for your files. So your naming protocol will start with your name, the code for the class, the CRN, and the name of the assignment. So if it's the forum, the individual forum or forum discussion, it'll be, you'll call it that. If it's the individual assignment 1, and you could use version 1, version 2. The reason for that, it gives you an ability to, when you redraft and you resubmit, you can keep a track of your development of your courses throughout the semester. That making sense? But it's also important for you to follow the naming protocols for all of the assignments, so that it becomes easier for me to manage your assignments, because I then have to I keep records of your information and your assignments as you submit them on the system. Now, you must submit your assignments via the eClassroom portals. Only in extreme cases do I allow students to upload their assignments directly to me via email, and even that is tricky. All right, so please read and understand the requirements here. There's also a discussion here about the Turnitin portal, all right, and how it's going to be utilized. All right, so these are the specific questions, and what you'd recognize is that we've taken a couple questions out from each element of the assignment and giving it to you in the forum discussion, which is why I don't want you to put the forum discussion into the Turnitin portal, because that's where you're going to get some really negative similarity scores. All right. So you'd realize that demand, supply, price ceilings, and floors is actually five separate questions here that make up the entire assignment. So whatever you did for the forum discussion, you can take from there and put that into this as your responses to those particular questions. All right. Then you have a section on economies and diseconomies of scale. So there are three questions there, one of which was put into the thing. So again, you could, in doing the forum discussion, you're kind of working on the first assignment already. And then, of course, distribution of income, factors of production. You realize that briefly explain why demand for concert tickets is considered derived demand. You'd realize that's the same question from above. So you don't have to do it over, just take the response you did for the forum based upon the comments I make and the recommendations I make. That is what you're going to be looking for. Now, I won't be commenting immediately, but after the deadline passes, I will start to upload comments because I don't want people piggybacking on my comments in their analysis of your colleagues' work. All right, because it's really some critical analysis that you need to be paying attention to. So that's also to help your own development of critical thinking is also going to be one of the elements that we're looking at there as well. All right, so this is the first assignment. This is the marking scheme that I'm utilizing. And these, see, remember your responses from the forum should be included in this assignment. All right. This is a rubric. So if you want to understand a little better how I'm going about marking, this is a rubric that I'm utilizing to do so. All right. All right. So assignment 2, which is the journal assignment. This one is due on the 10th of May. Now, there is some work that you need to do during the semester to meet the requirements for this. It's called an articles journal because I need you to find articles either in the newspapers or in the online journals and so on, either local, regional, or international, that has some microeconomic concept in it. Now, it can't be anything that's too old, so we lay a limit of 6 months old, no older than 6 months. All right, so it means that what I'm asking you to do is to look around the world in your day-to-day life and find issues that are of an economic nature and make the linkage between what is happening in the classroom with what is happening in the world around you. So the idea here now is to make economics something that is realistic and not just something that resides in a textbook. Because I like to tell my students this, that economics is day-to-day living. Every decision we made can be seen in economic theory. In fact, the theory comes after the fact. The behavior happens, and we are trying to explain that behavior. All right. So I'm looking for you to find some articles, but you have to get my approval. So the WhatsApp chat group is a great place for you to upload the articles for me to look at, and they'll be, especially if they are online articles, be easier for you to utilize. And I would approve the article. I might ask you some questions about what you're hoping to do with the article, what concept are you seeing. All right. So these are the questions that guide your response or your analysis of the article. So the first question is just a summary. What is the article about? Identify one economic concept in the article that you can see and discuss and make the linkages to. And then look at the effects that they're having, positive and negative, on individuals, on households, and on the country as a whole. All right. Do you perceive that that issue needs government intervention? Why they need intervention? Yes or no? You have to describe and then explain why you want to do that. Describe 3 measures that you would recommend government to implement to deal with the issue or the problem that you have found in your article. So there are things that you could get involved with that you could utilize. It's the way you make the linkage between the real world and the theory. But remember, the theory has to be microeconomic theory. A lot of articles tend to be more macro in nature, but they are micro elements to a macro issue. So that if you can make those connections, that will be really, really good. All right. That means you're going to be able to apply microeconomic theory to the real world around you. So it's not a useless science. It's something that can help you to understand the behavior of households and firms and individuals from a day-to-day basis. All right. This is the marking scheme, and of course, there's a rubric that goes with it in relation to that. Any questions about this? One thing I should say is that there is no need for us to hide the articles we're looking at doing. We can, everybody can work on the same. In fact, what I tend to do is I tend to look at to assist by finding articles myself. I look at the newspapers on a regular basis. If I find something that's interesting, I will copy it and put it into the WhatsApp chat and say, hey, this is a good article that people could utilize to do the journal, the article journal assignment. So that feel free to utilize it. So you don't have to hide the article that you want to do. It's not a secret, all right? It doesn't matter if people do the same article because everybody is going to be doing their own analysis. And the analysis is going to be based upon their understanding of the concepts, all right? Or somebody may see things slightly differently and make different connections. Any questions with that? Everybody's
So,
following that? Yep. Everybody's okay with that so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's look at the next assignment. That has to do with the quizzes. We talked about this already. All the quizzes are already open. You have 8 quizzes. I'm taking your 7 best scores out of it. You have at least 2 attempts for each quiz. All right, some of them I actually put them up at 4 because they're a little more technical, a little harder. So the idea is to give you time to master the content. That is why I'm giving multiple attempts. But when the quizzes close on the 17th, that's it. That's the cutoff date. I don't have any more time to give you to, allow you to tackle quizzes. Do not leave the quizzes for the end of the semester. As you finish a unit, tackle the quiz. All right? Far too often, students leave the quizzes and then they promise themselves they'll come back to the quiz at the end of the semester, but that's not the point. The way I've designed the course is that as you go through the unit, you should tackle the quiz and get it out of the way, and keep on moving with it. Remember, I'm taking the best 7 scores out of the 8 quizzes that are there. So that means you have to do at least seven quizzes. Far too often, students get poor grades in this class because they didn't do the quizzes or they just kind of rush through the quizzes, and they don't benefit from the multiple attempts in the right way. The multiple attempt means you need to pay attention to where you failed in the quiz. What didn't you get right? Review the content and then do the attempt. So it's something that's developmental in nature as you're moving through the course. So don't fall into that trap of leaving everything for the last minute because that's what results in people having a really poor grade. All right. Now you also have to remember this course is a prerequisite for macroeconomics. So you need to have a C or better grade in this course moving forward. It's also a requirement for some of the other entrepreneurship classes that you're going to be doing. So pay attention to what you're doing with this course because it is in itself a prerequisite across the board. All right. So again, as I said, the quizzes are open already and they will all close on the 17th. So I'm not going to say you have to get um, Unit 1 quiz done and then it closes in March. And then, no, just open for the whole semester. And they will remain open for the entire semester, but they will close on the 17th. You have to work your schedule out across the board. All right? Any questions on the quizzes? Fairly straightforward. All right, okay. All right, so this is the last assignment that we have, and it has to do with the group project. So the due date for the actual written project, which represents 20% of your final grade, is the 17th of May. That's the last day for uploading. You can upload earlier. Groups are going to be formulated between 4 to 5 persons, and you all will select a country and perform a microeconomic analysis of that country. Once you put your paper together, you have to put it through the similarity ratings or the Turnitin portal to get your similarities, and then you're going to put it up. However, you're going to extract from that paper a presentation for the 4 to 5 people from that group to present in a 20-minute time frame. So you're going to utilize the same material that you've gathered for the group project in terms of your country analysis, and you're going to let me just get to that part here. You're going to present your findings to the class, and we're going to utilize that as part of your. So you realize on the 23rd of April, you'll have to present your findings. However, the actual paper is submitted on by the 17th of May. So there's a gap between when you do your presentation to when you submit the paper. Now there's a reason for that. If during the presentation I find that maybe some things are not right or some things could be developed, I will probably point that out to you after your presentation, because I'm going to give you feedback right after presentations are done in terms of your performance. And I'm going to guide you as to what you need to correct so that you don't get double marked for a mistake that you made in the first instance. All right. So you're not going to get punished twice for the same error if I can help it. All right. The the marking schedule for the presentation is this format here. There are so not prereqs. There are rubrics later on that we could look at. So you all understand how this works. You're doing this group project together. You're going to pull all the work together, write up your paper, extract a presentation which you will provide or you will perform on the 23rd of April during class time. And then based upon your results from that, I would indicate to you if any adjustments need to be made with the paper. And based upon that, you will then finalize your paper and then submit the group project. All right. So let's look at the questions themselves. So what you're basically going to do is you're going to select a country, and you're going to write up a paper. All right. And these are the questions that you have to answer, the type of economy. And this is specific to the country that you're going to research. You can't just go to the textbooks and grab what are the benefits and drawbacks of mixed economies or planned economies and just give that to me. You have to give specific examples of the benefits and drawbacks of the systems for the country that you've selected to research. All right. Discuss how the system allocates resources, providing two examples directly again in terms of from the country itself on demand decisions, supply decisions. What is the dominant types of firms that exist in that country? You know, is it sole traders? Is it partnerships? Is it public companies? Is it private companies? What is the most popular types of firms that dominate that country's markets? What is the dominant type of market structure that exists in that economy? Is it monopolistic competitions? Are there a lot of monopolies? And I'd have to help guide you in terms of how you're going to do that analysis. Describe how the impact of the market structure has on price, output, and profitability. And that is related to the section on theory of the firm and the theory of markets. So you're looking at those and you're doing some analysis there. But again, you need to correlate what the theory is telling you to what is actually happening in the country. So you have to pull from what's happening in the country, because not every country is the same. Right? No two countries are the same. And question 6 is going to ask you to just look at what are the positive and negative impacts of the COVID virus on the country, either by looking at firms and or households. So this is really important because we're still only about 5 years, 6 years after the pandemic. So some countries that you're going to be looking at have had different types of responses to the COVID pandemic that took place. So we still want to follow up on some activities of that. Included with that, you need to do an introduction to the country. And in that introduction to the country, you expect that you'll be giving us stuff like the demographics of the country, such as its location, size, culture, food. Like I always tell people, you're giving an overview of this country. Tell us about the country and its people to begin with. All right. That helps with kind of setting the tone of your presentation, and include photographs in your presentations and even in the paper. Images and photos, tell a lot about a country and about your research and stuff like that. Just remember, though, everything that you use has to be cited properly. All right, and I'll keep emphasizing that over and over again. So of course, yes, you have to do an introduction, and of course, you need to do a conclusion. As with any academic paper, there's always introductions and conclusions. All right. The marking scheme for it is this here: content 60%, language 10, citation 10, organization 20. Um, this is the rubric for marking the written paper. All right. And then, of course, I already spoke to you about the presentation. You're doing a 20-minute presentation of your findings from that research. And primarily, you all probably put together a PowerPoint presentation. The 4 or 5 of you all get together, and I will record your presentations on the e-classroom, and I will mark you based upon that, and I'll utilize the group presentation rubric for that. 60% for the content, 25% for presentation skills, 15% for citation. Because again, even though you're utilizing a live presentation, I still want to see some citation methodology being utilized to cite the images and information that you're utilizing. It doesn't have to be overt, but it must be included with that. Now, there's one element here that I want to draw to your attention, and that has to do with this item on the e-classroom at the very top, which spoke about the group peer evaluation forms. This is a very punitive type of activity that I don't like to use, but becomes necessary sometimes, because what it serves to do is to punish a group for members not being able to work properly together. So I want to beg people, when we form groups, please respect each other in the group and work um, in a positive manner with each other to get this thing done. Because far too often, the performance of the group impacts directly on the quality of the work. There's a reason why we're pulling 4 to 5 people together. The reason for it is that the amount of work that is required for this project cannot be done by individuals. All right? Everybody has to work together, and they also have to correlate the information that they're doing in one question to the other questions, because you can in fact collect data and present something that contradicts what somebody else is doing. So there is a need for you to really pay attention to working together with it. Now, that being said, if you're having problems, I would like you to contact me and let me know so I can reach out to the groups and talk to them on a one-to-one basis and help work out whatever issues you're having. I do not like to use peer evaluation for the simple reason that, let's say a group presents and they get 100%, and it has happened in the past, and there was a problems with the members of the group working with each other. I will then tell them, all right, everybody in the group would need to do a peer evaluation, and that peer evaluation looks like this. There are 25 questions, and each member has to score everybody else in a scale from 0 to 4. 0 being that they absolutely disagree or they did absolutely nothing, to 4 that they did the very best that they could. And based upon the average percentage that you end up with from your peers in your group, you and everybody else will share proportionately with the average score that you make in your peer evaluation form. That means if I ask for peer evaluation forms from a group, that means something went wrong with the group. Secondly, that means if you got 100% and you got an average score of 75%, that's the maximum grade that you can get. 75% of whatever the group project was awarded. And that goes for both the presentation and the written paper, because both are elements of the same evaluation. All right, that's why I mean to say group peer evaluation is really punitive in nature, and I hate using it. I don't like using it, but if it's necessary, I will. But that really speaks to you guys learning how to work together. How many of you all here have done FYEC 100?
I have.
Yep. Did you guys not discuss in all right. Did you guys not discuss group work in that? Wasn't group activities part of the things there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
So That's one of the reasons why we're doing that. And trust me, if we haven't, and people, life is not going to be the same for everybody. Not everybody has had the same responsibilities. As you can see, we have some people who are full time, they're not working, or and there's some people who are working full time. They might have families, they have children to look after. You don't know what happens during the semester. Somebody could get sick, somebody could die. There are a whole host of possibilities. This is the world we live in, right? So once we have that situation taking place, guys, we have to work together. So we have to cut people some slack. We have to help each other dealing with things. All right. So I don't want to have to come and heavy-handedly deal with something like that. But if you are having problems, contact me privately, and we will have a discussion. I will call a group meeting, and we will meet and have a discussion about what's happening, and try to resolve the issues. All right. Everybody follows that so far? Yes. No. Maybe
Yes,
not.
sir.
All right. Okay.
Yes,
That.
sir.
Any questions thus far with what we've been looking at so
Yes,
far?
sir.
Any questions? Everybody thinks they follow everything. Download the documents, go through all the assignments, make sure you understand everything, okay, guys? All right, there we have one more thing before we could call it quits for the evening. And that is making sure I got checking, see that. Yes, Gibson, yeah, I see you have your hand up. What's up?
Quick question, sir.
Uh-huh.
For the textbook that we have to reference, I'm assuming that each textbook will be utilized in each unit, right? Or is it that it's just there for our pleasure to read?
Well, I used the textbooks in my presentations, but the textbooks are there as basic resources. I would recommend that you could also go and look at other resources online or in the libraries or whatnot, even the online library as well. Right. So you're not limited to only the textbooks. You can go beyond the textbooks if that's what your concern is.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, but the textbook lays kind of the foundation of where you should start. All right. Once you start there, you should be okay. And you could add more value by going online and looking at what other authors have contributed towards the development of the idea. Make sure though that you cite your sources. That's the reason for that. All right. In fact, in all your assignments, you need to have, besides the textbooks, you need to have at least 10 other sources minimum to do your assignments. All right, that's generally because it tells me as an academic that this person is reaching beyond the primary text to be to to add to their knowledge and value and add value to the assignment and their understanding. All right, and it could be, as I said, online sources, other textbooks. If you have your own other textbooks that you had from CSEC and stuff like that, or from CAPE, feel free to use them. There's some textbooks that are a little more tricky to utilize, like the Lipsy. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that author. Richard Lipsy was a very, we used to use that textbook and when I did A levels, and he was a difficult writer to treat with. Um, we had a Samuelson we used to work with as well. You have these little books called Made Easy series or Economics for Dummies. All those things, use them. All right. Now, most people will tell you Wikipedia is not a good place to get information from. But one of the things that Wikipedia can do is be a doorway for you to find other sources because although they may not complete their citation listing, once they have citation, you could actually go to the actual article and see the article that they're utilizing or the publication that they're utilizing and draw your information from there. So Wikipedia has some benefit because as I said, it's a meeting place for people to begin a discussion. But the problem with Wikipedia is that it's not oftentimes cited appropriately. So it's important that as budding economists, you make sure you check your stuff. All right. And then, of course, there's a host of economic forum discussions that go on internationally. You have economic associations that you could get information from, and of course you have some other teaching sites for economics on the system out there that you can find. some of those YouTube channels that I've listed and utilized, you can even cite their sources. That guy, Mr. Clifford, is really, really good. Um, he's very entertaining. Well, sometimes you might have to slow him down a bit because he look like he's be on drugs when he's doing some of this stuff. But some of the material that he does there is quite good, and it's quite good for U.S. students. Um, but we kind of have to piggyback a little bit on that. All right. Let us. Any other questions? All right. So let's deal with the last thing we need to do today, and that is we need to group people. So let's go to participants. Bring this down a bit. And we are going to create groups. So I have some, because I'm reusing a shell, so to speak, I'm going to have to clear out some of this stuff here. Let me see if I can delete that. Yes, I want to delete it. Okay, cool. So now we're going to be create groups. Now, should I auto create, or do you all want to put yourselves into groups?
Auto create, please.
Auto create, sir.
All right, okay, so that's the naming schedule. Auto create based on members per group. Group count is going to be 5. We have 30 people in the class. Students allocate randomly, prevent small last groups. So we shouldn't have to worry about that, but I'll click it anyway. And submit. All right, so we have group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. All right, so let me assist you all with this because you all are going to need to know who's in what group. So I'm gonna. How much groups we have? 8. People anxiously await whose group they are in. All right. So group A, we have the hard part with this is when people are missing. So we have Fernandez, DZ, Fernandez, Claude, GLAUD, Claude. Well, let me just put it as M Fernandez. E Claude. Oops. Spelling name wrong like crazy here. Jude, Claude, M. Ramsmir. Alright, so that's group A. Group B is Vishal Jack Mohan. L. Lukong. Swan. Samson John. done. All right, that's that group. Group C. Okay. Durham. Durham, your name is Durham Gooding, right? If I remember. And we have L. George.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. I don't know why the system's pulling up as Durham on itself. Salim Hussein. S-E-I-N. No, so Hussein is the first person I think that's here that is not here today. I think Sammy's here. Murray. Right. Group D. Okay. Nadira Badal is also somebody who was absent, but I think she's also on the but she had messaged me to say she wasn't going to make it. Rihanna Batiste, Baptiste, Batiste. Okay, Jeffrey. Carly. Samnat. Alright. Group E. Sarah Ali. Chelsea. All right, Chelsea is also somebody who didn't make it. Sydney Batiste. Zalek Frederick. Frederick. Isaiah Ross. Right. And our final group is Group F. Right. Let's take a note of that. Muscat Raj. G. Samuel Gibson. Carissa Honanan. Judah Salman. Brittany Stout. Right, so what I will do is format this and copy it into the WhatsApp chat group so y'all could start getting together and setting up your subgroupings and whatnot. And I'll give you all some instructions as to what you need to do. Right, hopefully this will make it easier for you all to see. Alright. Copy this into the WhatsApp chat group. Ah, see? Mr. Gooding has already put up a invite for Group C. All right, and this would help with everybody kind of tracking or remembering where they are in which group, so that way you all can get some stuff going. Now, what will happen is, as you all meet, what I want you all to do is to come together and select 3 countries that you all think you might like to do, to conduct your research about. When you confirm what your countries are, then what will happen is I will change the name from Group A. So let's say you decide you want to go and do Chile, for example. So Group A will then become Group Chile. So that's the way it's going to be. So on the system, your group name will reflect the country that you're going to be selecting. All right. So what I want to see from you guys is, by the next 2 weeks, I want to see some group decisions as to which countries you want to do. The other thing we don't want to do is to have duplications of groups. So the next time I meet with you guys, based on this schedule, I think we are carded for, whoops. Our next meet is not next week, but the week after. Yes? Let me check this.
19th of February.
Right, after Carnival. That might be a bit long, though. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, God. This is a huge document. So what I'd suggest is that you print the relevant pages that you want. Um, so maybe the course calendar part with the assignment dates and stuff. If you want to also print the assignments, which is the appendices down to the end, that might actually help as well. 19th of February. No, I think I might want to hook up with you all by maybe the 12th of February. Now, we don't have to have a class session to do it. What you all could do is give me your decisions as to which countries you all would like to do based upon your interaction with each other. The one thing we don't want to have is 2 groups tackling the same country. I want to have different countries across the board. So that's why I think at the end of the day, give me about 2 to 3 countries per group. That way we could avoid duplications, and also countries that might have pose problems with your selection. So a guideline I could give you, for example, would be don't choose countries that are um, currently involved in any kind of war or major upheaval, because getting data for the country is going to be difficult. All right. Or finding out about the country is going to be difficult, because any kind of current issue that's going on there that volatile creates difficulty for gathering economic data. Um, the second thing is you want to do is pay attention to the sources of data that you're utilizing. So try to um, to use sites that are verifiable, and that the data is we could check and make sure that it's true stuff. So you could use some of the international, like the World Bank. They have some good information about countries. You have the IMF. You have the UNDP and the UN sites that you could utilize for general information about countries. And of course, you could go to the country's own country websites, especially those that are tourists involved. Now, I don't care which countries you do. The only countries I really want you to stay away from a little bit will be, as I said, war-torn areas, um, areas under, like, don't try to do North Korea. That is a waste of time. South Korea better, maybe, um, as an option. But I still need to give you a final approval for the countries. So by not next week, week after, I'm hoping to see Miss Hussein. Welcome. Miss Hussein, have you joined the WhatsApp chat group? Hi, Miss Hussein.
Hi, sir. I'm a friend of hers. I'm not sure if her mic isn't working, but she's in the chat group.
She is? All right. So she's aware that she's assigned to a group already, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. All righty then. Um, all right. I see people are already messaging each other for subgroupings for your group chats. All right, that's excellent work. That just keep on moving forward. As I said, I have we have to pay attention to the groups with Miss Chelsea Amassing. Which group is that? That is Amassing is in group E, and also the group with Miss Badal. That's group D. Um, I'm not certain. I think Miss Badal is in the group, but I'm not certain about Miss Amar Singh. So we'll have to pay attention to that. So as I said, by the 12th, the week before Carnival, give me some feedback as to, well, I'll message you all and get some feedback with your group selections. We could either do it in a session like this, or well, maybe I should just call a session on the 12th and it's just check in with you all, get that information and find out if there are any other issues. Would that be okay, guys?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Yes,
That
sir.
sounds
Yes,
sounds
sir.
good. All right. So as I said, my primary communication will be via the WhatsApp chat group. If something happens and I can't make it, I'll message you there and say, okay, we're canceling this session until after Carnival, that kind of stuff. But I'd like to talk to you all before Carnival starts, if it's at all possible. I'd encourage you all to get into your groups and begin opening the discussion. The other guideline I could tell you about the country that you select for research is find a country that you want to learn about, all right, that you've always interested in maybe going to and visiting. Find out about them, all right. Again, it's 5 of you all in the group, so you all would have to come to some sort of consensus as to which country you're going to do. Consensus, not voting, consensus that we all agree that we're going to be looking at this country. All right. Okay, guys, I want to kind of wrap up this session for the evening. Anybody has anything they want to ask about, anything they want clarified, anything that's still puzzling you? Um, if anybody came in late, you all might want to hang back and have a conversation or just outright ask the question now, because some of you, although you might ask the question, other people might, maybe were hoping somebody else asked the question. Don't know why, but we'll see how that works out. Anybody? Any questions? Any issues? All right, I know there was a lot that took place this evening, so it might need some time for digestion, and eventually we'll have people asking questions, whether or not in the WhatsApp chat group, direct messaging, or within the classroom next time. All right, with that being said, I would like to wish you all well and welcome you all to the semester and wish you all well for this semester. And do not be afraid to message me and get my opinion on things, ask questions. Let's try and have some fun as well on top of this. Okay, guys? All right. As I said, we're not going to be meeting every week, but subsequent to today, all our meetings will start from 5:30. To allow people who are working to get a little more time to get home and get set before we start our sessions. All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now